I never planned on eavesdropping that night. But life has a way of throwing you headfirst into the truths you never wanted to hear. It was late, almost midnight. I had just come back from a grocery run, carrying a bag of cheap wine and frozen dinners, the kind of meal that tells you everything you need to know about a marriage. As I stepped inside, I heard her voice low, sharp and brimming with frustration. "I hate being with him, Liz. I feel trapped. He's just there like a shadow I can't shake off." I stopped dead in my tracks. My breath hitched. The words were like cold steel against my ribs. I wasn't supposed to hear that. But I did, and suddenly, everything made sense. Marriage is funny. At first, it's fireworks, late-night talks, and stupid inside jokes. Then it becomes grocery lists, silent car rides, and pretending you don't notice the way their body turns away in bed. I met Emily when we were both in our 20s, reckless and hungry for a future that felt just within reach. She used to look at me like I held the universe in my hands. I lived for that look. But somewhere along the way, the love faded, or maybe it rotted. She got distant. I got boring. I worked my 9 to 5, came home, and tried to be enough. But enough wasn't enough anymore. And now, standing there in the hallway, hearing her say she hated being with me, it was like someone had reached inside my chest and crushed whatever was left of my heart. I could have walked in and confronted her, yelled, begged for an explanation, but I didn't. Instead, I walked upstairs, packed a bag, and left just like that. No goodbye. No dramatic speeches. She wanted space. She got it. I drove to a cheap motel on the outskirts of town, the kind where the walls were thin and the air smelled like regret. As I sat on the stiff mattress, staring at the ugly wallpaper, I wondered how long she had felt this way. How long had I been nothing more than a shadow in her life? The next morning, my phone blew up. Calls, texts, voicemails. "Emily? Where are you? We need to talk. Please just come home." It was almost funny. The woman who hated being with me suddenly cared that I was gone. I let her stew in it. Let her feel what it was like to miss someone who had always been there. 2 days later, she showed up at my motel. When I opened the door, she looked wrecked. Dark circles under her eyes, hair a mess, lips trembling. "Why did you leave?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. I laughed bitterly. "You really need me to say it?" She swallowed hard. "You weren't supposed to hear that." So that was the problem. Not that she had said it. Just that I had heard it. Something in me snapped. I stepped aside, motioning for her to enter. She did, but she didn't sit. "Was it true?" I asked. She hesitated a second too long. And that second told me everything. For the first time in our marriage, Emily didn't have the right words. She stood there searching for an explanation and excuse, something to make me stay. But I had already left. Not physically, not yet. But emotionally. I had checked out the moment those words left her lips. I was angry, she finally said. Frustrated. "I didn't mean it like that." I shook my head. "You don't say something like that, unless you mean it." Her eyes filled with tears. "I love you," but I held up a hand. I don't need to hear the but. I already know how this ends." She started crying, then I didn't comfort her. For years, I had been the one hurting, the one wondering if I was good enough. Now it was her turn to sit in the silence of an empty room and feel what it was like to be left behind. I never went back. The divorce was messy, but my healing wasn't. Somewhere along the way, I realized something. Leaving wasn't the hard part. Staying was staying in a place where I wasn't wanted. Staying in a love that had turned to dust. Emily reached out a few times after tried to rekindle something that had burned out long ago. But I had already found something better. Peace. And eventually, someone who looked at me like I held the universe in my hands again.